Hooray! We made it to the juicy center, the beating heart of MI. The third task in MI is evoking. And the question that captures the essence of this task is, why would you go there? If you recall, engaging is the first task. It's where you can determine whether or not you can walk together. If MI were a person, engaging would be its face. From there, we move into the second task of focusing to determine where are we going. This is the brain of MI. From there, many of us will have to resist the temptation to jump right into planning. It feels logical. Now that we know where we're going, let's plan it out. But as I mentioned earlier, evoking is the juicy center. Don't miss out on this essential task, the heart of MI, which really pumps life and energy into the coaching conversation. And there are many reasons why we don't want to skip out on evoking and why we want to spend more time there than we think. But before we explore these, notice the transition from the we pronoun in engaging and focusing. Can we walk together? Where are we going? To the you pronoun in evoking and planning. It's so important because while we are partnering with the member for support, we want you to be in control. The person we're coaching, we want to affirm their autonomy and self-efficacy on this journey because it is ultimately 100% their own. Why is evoking essential? Well, this is the M in motivational interviewing. It uncovers values. The who are you really? So evoking is where we bring in those classic MI questions. What feels important to you about? What matters most to you about? So here's an example. What matters to you about getting more exercise? Oh, well, it would probably help me to be less grumpy and have more energy. And so then you might follow up with, well, what would you be doing with the extra energy? And they might share something like, well, I'd have the energy to play with my kids and probably walk the dog too, when I would probably be more patient with my spouse. So now you've got some juicy stuff to reflect back. So it might sound like, because you love your family so much, it's really important to you that you can show up as your best self for them. And exercise is one potential avenue toward that. One of my favorite MI trainers, Casey Jackson, calls this the top of the mountain. When you're thinking about life goals, it can feel a lot like you're at the bottom of a mountain that's really hard to climb. But what if you could just float on up there in a hot air balloon and enjoy the ride and the view for a while? So get curious. Spend some time with the member uncovering and developing their big why. That's going to help inflate that hot air balloon and give them some oomph. And then once they share some of their vision with you, then you get granular. You want them to experience this as vividly as possible in your conversation. What would it feel like for you to have energy and positivity to bring to your loved ones? When's the last time you felt that way? What was enabling you to show up in that capacity? And then always, of course, remembering to reflect back change talk that you're hearing. And then you'll be able to hear how ready they are to shift into planning from their language. So listen for the kind of change talk that they share. Is it the preparatory type, the darn, the desire, ability, reason, and needs? Or is it commitment talk, the cats, the commitment, the activation, taking steps, which may be an indication that they're ready to shift into planning. And if there's a lot of sustained talk, it's definitely not time to plan. So why else is evoking essential? Well, it will help you to further identify their stage of change and enable a smooth transition into planning if the member's ready. And then readiness is really just a combination of importance and confidence. And next time, we'll explore the tools we use to assess those. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this review of the evoking task. And the song that I felt went along with this task is a classic favorite, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. And I'll be sharing that karaoke music video with you next. As practitioners of motivational interviewing, we show up as the eternal optimists, believing that any person is capable of change when they are able to get in touch with, understand, and articulate their own motivation. They can conquer the mountain of change.